Second minute, the Woodlands duo playing a nice 1-2 here to set up the opener. Korean Moon Sun Ho gave a through pass for Hussein Akil, and then the Lebanese sprinted past a static game.
Courtesy of some good old-fashioned Route 1 football. Ali Akil with a perfectly timed run, a neat finish over Lionel Lewis.
Joins a podcast. Let's go.
And the next guest on the podcast, we're blessed with the presence of Haj Hussein Ali Akil. Assalamu alaikum, Abba.
Habak salam, Habibi. How you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah, man. Good. How's things, mate? How you going in these tough times?
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad. Just still working. Teacher. So we got online classes and stuff. Wife just gave birth to a baby boy, so alhamdulillah, so
God bless.
of course it's been tough with the COVID and not being able to do things or see people or exercise properly, whatever, but I guess God gives you things in other ways. Alhamdulillah, man.
Alhamdulillah, man. Give us things indeed, inshallah. We're gonna get to the bottom of your story, your career, football, you're a man of many tricks, teaching, footballing. We're gonna get to the bottom of it, what you had to sacrifice, how you got there. Football.
It'll be fun.
Talk to us. Yeah. As a youngster, where'd your love come from?
Man, you know what? It all started at school, bro. Like, my dad, I never played football. So my dad had a restaurant. It was very busy. My mum, 3-4 kids. So it was very hard. So I just used to play at school, PWSA, and just with the boys. And then one day my dad came and saw me play in a semi-final. I begged him to come and see us play a semi-final match for Bexley Public School. And then from there, he's like, Wallah, tilab, huh? You play. I was like, this guy, first time he sees me play, So, and he was shocked to know that I could actually play. So he wasn't really, he used to see me in the house, kick the ball around. He used to always see me watching soccer, but he never really thought that I could play. So after that day, I just went and played for the local police boys, and
so
that's how it all started, man.
So it's a natural raw talent now. Whoever knows you, and we're going to get to know you as we move along with your life and career. You're a special player. You're not some player that's, and a typical Australian, putts the ball 50 meters. You're very technical, skilled on the ball, finesse. There's not many people that can take the game like you. So talk to us about after that, the public school system. Who was it that captivated you, took your game to the next level, or was it raw talent that you continued to go on?
So there was, obviously when I first started, there was 2 men that got me involved. One guy called Haj Muhammad Tanana and another guy called Haj Mustafa Faraj, Ghassan Faraj's father. And these 2 guys, Haj Muhammad Faraj, sorry. And these 2 guys, they took me to the local club. And then from there, it just, man, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just the love for football, playing constantly at school, then training at home, because I knew I was like a little club, And then from there, it just went from 1 year at a club level to MPO, the rest of my career.
So talk to us, what was that first step? What was the first rep team you made?
The first rep team was Rockdale Illingdon. So I started a bit late. I played futsal like at 9-10 years old. And then I played outdoor. I think my first outdoor game was about 12 years old.
Yeah.
At St. George Police Boys. And then from there, I went to Rockdale Illingdon under 13s. And obviously it was good. I was young. I was quick. I was scoring a lot of goals. And from under 13s at Illingdon, I went straight to Sydney Olympic under 14s. Which was obviously back then it was called the Olympic Sharks. And then and then from there I was just going from MPL club to another MPL club. From the Olympic Sharks I went to St. George Saints, and there was one specific coach at St. George Saints. His name was David McGrone, who had a lot of faith in me, and he used to always tell me, look, come and do some extra sessions with me, So he had an academy run up at St. George, and he gave me like a scholarship thing for the academy, and used to go train twice a week, 6:30 in the morning before school. So yeah, I used to go there. My dad used to drop me off, and then another guy would take me back home on the way back. And then I'll be honest, from that year, under 15s, everything just changed for me. Like it's from that year, from the under 15s year. It just, I can't explain. It just blew up, man. Like it just took me to different levels.
Talk to us about a youngster. Now, we're talking 12, 13, 14, 15. And for a lot of people in the fields, they don't understand the sacrifice, the discipline to continuously turn up. Now, I don't know how many people have done a preseason. I don't think I can ever do a preseason ever again. So talk to us as a youngster. How was that and how did you grow as a person, especially in these early years when a lot of people lack that discipline?
Look, I'll tell you, when you know that preseason is coming up, everyone's thinking, here we go, hard work and everything. But as soon as you start preseason, you can tell that your body is changing, your fitness is changing, you're getting fitter, you're getting stronger. Things that you were doing at a very low rate are gradually building up and you're doing it a bit quicker. Do you know what I mean? So, like for example, receiving the ball and turning. If you did it at the start of preseason, that's going to take you a while. You might even tear a muscle. But to get at that game level, you need preseason. You know, fitness, I think people underestimate the importance of fitness, specifically when you've got it at a young age. Like when we were young, mate, we were young. Someone told us run 10Ks, we run 10Ks, wouldn't care. We've got so much energy. We had so much fire back then, you know. It was just our whole lives were football. Like we go to school, we play footy. So we play. I'm outside my house. I got the football and I'm kicking the ball the whole time. You know, like I'm standing on one side of the street and my dad's on the other side. He'll throw the ball at me, and he'll make me control it. Or we'll practice throw-ins. Like there was everything, man. There was nothing that I didn't practice when I was a kid. And it was just because I loved it, man. And like my mum, obviously, she would tell me off all the time because the ball's smashing this, the ball's smashing that. You know, come home from school, you got to do your homework. I'm like, hey, I'll spend like 10 minutes at the park. And I'll come back, mum, I'll do the homework. And you've been there for an hour and a half, guys. You haven't done nothing. You know, so it's, mate, football in those days is different, man. It was amazing, man. Very, very different.
So I feel like it bring the best out of you, you know, you channeled all your passion and you put it towards a path. You strived in that path because at 15, it all changes. Talk to us about a young Hussein Akil at 15. What did he have to do to get to that next level, if anything? And who helped you along the way?
Well, I was a striker back then. So I had to score goals. Simple as that. You know, I had to understand how to make the right runs, had to understand, take players on. And the aim for a striker, no matter where you play in the world, is you have to score your goals. Simple as that. So, alhamdulillah, I was blessed, and I think it wasn't something that I trained. It was like part of my genes. I was very quick, very quick. Like I went from started with athletics to soccer. I was always quick, you know. So that helped me obviously as a striker. And back in the days, 2 up front, you know, it's different than having 3. And you always had someone big next to you, and then you were the quick guy on the side running through and trying to get the second balls. So at St. George, I had obviously that guy, that coach David McGrone, who was very intelligent, English background. He played in Australia, NSL, stuff like that as well. And he just kept putting belief in me and belief in me and belief in me. He started telling me that I can be good and I can be great and all this kind of stuff. And then it just got to a stage where I was 15 years old, 16, I think. And then one weekend, like we were playing against MacArthur. No, not MacArthur. I think it was Penrith. Back in the days, Penrith, there was a team in Penrith. I played 16s and we won like 3-1 and I scored 2 goals. The 18 coach tells me, look, can you come back and play for the 18s? I'm like, all right. So they had to call my dad because that way my dad, haram, like he's working full time. It's probably the 1 or 2 games he's missed. Oh no, sorry, he was there, but he couldn't take me home. They said, because he had to go to work, they're like, all right, we'll take him home. No problem. Played 18s, I scored a hat-trick for the 18s. And we won like 5-1, I think. After that game, I'm going home. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of myself. The 18s coaches like talked me up. I'm this young kid, bro. And I'm just like, like very excited. These coaches are talking to me in such a nice way and telling me I'm a good player and everything. And then all of a sudden, I get home about 2-3 hours later. I got a phone call from the 20s coach. Can you come play tomorrow against MacArthur Rams? And I'm this 15-year-old. You can't get shorter than me on the field. And I'm thinking 20s. And then I told my dad about it. And like, I thought, all right, these guys, they're 5 years older than me, but they're not going to be that big. They can't be that big, like, you know. And my dad's like, yeah, all right. But he had to work the next day. So I had one of the coaches come pick me up and take me. The coaches at that time, Matthew Riborowski and Zoran Ilic. Zoran, ex-Socceroo, great player. Matthew's been in and around football, has played as well. And Matthew still coaches now. He helps out Rockdale Illingdon and NPL 1. So they're the ones that took me. Zoran was first grade coach and Matthew was reserve grade coach. And man, like I didn't think I was going to play, but like, mind you, I'm 15 years old. I'm looking. First thing that happened, I walk into the change room, and I see these huge guys. But I'm looking at like this. I'm like, wow. And they're all saying hello to me and everything. And there was one guy who sat me next to him, and like mentored me the whole way. And that was Allah Yarhamu Hussein Shakir. He was in that team, and he would put me next to him in the change room. And then, mate, and I look at the physio table. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, they got this guy giving them massages and everything. And the first guy I see on this physio is this guy called Tanjun Balabablam. He's like Turkish guy, played in Turkey, but mate, this guy had the biggest legs. He looked like the biggest wahash. I think my whole body was as big as one of his legs, you know? And the anxiety inside my body is just like building up. And mind you, I did not think I was going to play. I thought I was just going to bring me, you know, be part of the squad. You know, after the weekend, I did really well with the 16s and 18s. Anyway, we'll warm up and all this kind of stuff. And then we're drawing 1-1. And there was like about 20 minutes to go, or 25 minutes to go. And then he's like, hey, Hus, go warm up. And I said, all right, I'll go warm up. And I thought this is one of the things that my coach does to other younger guys that gets promoted from 15s. You know, you just warm up and he don't use you. So I said, all right, I'll go warm up. I did a proper warm up, you know. It was freezing out there in MacArthur, freezing. And then he's like, all right, let's go quick, get the tape on, get everything on, whatever you need. And I'm like, and I actually asked him, am I going on? He's like, yeah, hurry up, let's go. Bro, as soon as he said I was going on, my heart was racing, like I can't explain. And like the boys in the change room on the bench were so supportive. The guys on the field, I came on, they clapped at me. They're like, let's go, little man. Come on, you can do it. But they don't know my name. Like they all called me little man. Let's go, little man. Because they don't know my name, except for maybe one or two players. And then, mate, I'm walking. Honestly, I'm not saying this. I'm walking and I'm looking at a LeBron James here, a LeBron James there, a Peter Crouch here. Like the height of these guys, bro, was unbelievable. And I started to get a bit nervous, man. Like I wasn't scared about getting tackled or anything like that. I was actually more worried about not doing a mistake, you know. So I listened to what my coach told me, David, the 15th coach, and he had told me because he found out I was playing 20s. Like, look, just make sure if you come on, first pass successful. That's it. Just think about you doing your first thing as successful. Pass or a great tackle or whatever it is that comes to you, just make it successful. And then as soon as you get the ball, a great pass. That's it. Simple as that. That was his advice to me. And then I remember I got the ball and I just bounced it off to the number 10. I took a deep breath and I'm like, all right, this is good, you know? And then the ball came to me again. And I remember exactly, I think I took a touch, the guy pushed me, I fumbled it, but then I was able to give it back to like the left or right back at that time. And then the next move, I just got the ball. I pushed off the guy. I got the ball. I turned. I had a shot, hit the crossbar, and the other striker came and tapped it in. 2-1.
Wow.
I was like, wow. Like the goal scorer was such a nice guy. He actually came straight to me. He didn't go celebrate on his own. He came straight to me, and the whole team came to me, and that gave me a lot more confidence, like massive. And then I remember the last play, the ball came to me. I think I turned, I gave a through ball to the winger. He cut it back to the other striker and another goal. and we won the game 3-1, and it was like the best thing I've ever experienced, man. Like at that age, and that's where everything just blew up for me, bro. Because that was like towards the end of the season, and then I played more 20s games, and so I'd play maybe a 16 game here, and the next week I wouldn't play 16s. Or I'd play on Saturday. Sorry, I'd play on Saturday, and then I'd play 20s on Sunday. So they wouldn't let me play in the 18s in between. So yeah, and then from there, it just changed, man.
You're on the scene. Whoever doesn't know football knows it's a very.
Mate.
It seems like a big community, a lot of clubs, a lot of people, but it's such
Yeah,
a small world because if you burst on the scene, everyone's talking about you. You know, this 15-year-old that came, he turned the game, he did this, he did that. Talk to us about how that felt, because I know you underplayed it so much. A 15-year-old playing 16s, playing 18s is hard enough. You're playing against men. In football, that year gap, it's like you're playing giants. You've won a whole generation out
of course.
And
to
have the confidence to back yourself. And like the fundamentals in every sport is the hardest to perfect. You know, even for you to have the maturity to play that ball to your left back or make sure you don't mistake in that first pass, it speaks volume of the child or the person that you were. You're beyond your years, not just with talent, but mindset-wise. Tell the audience and give the people an insight to the belief you had then, and then what expectations you had of yourself and what you had to do to continuously grow, because you do that and you play Australian schoolboys in 2008.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest, man. I think a lot of the mindset was obviously due to my parents helping me become a good person, first of all, you know, and then secondly, doing my best to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to my religion, not forgetting about my religion. And I felt like God really took care of me and gave me a lot of confidence with everything that I did in my life, you know. But the thing was, when I was playing under 15s, 16s, I was still 15 at that time, I was scoring a lot of goals. So my confidence was already there at that moment. I now score against every team. It wasn't like I was scoring against the bad teams. I think I scored, honestly, that year, I think I scored over 30 goals. Like it was like I was doing good for myself, you know? So secondly, when you see the older people, and this is something that I take into my coaching now, or as a player, as a senior player, and when I was like captain for St. George the last 3 years, is giving positivity to the players, especially when there's someone new. You know, I think positive mindsets is very important, you know. But man, during that specific moment, I just kept remembering in my mind, just play safe, play it safe, you know. Don't get me wrong, I didn't want to think of them dropping me the next week or not playing me again the next week. I wanted to be there. You know, that's what made me do it. I wanted to be there. You know, watching all the EPL games, watching all the La Liga games, watching the Italian league back then was huge. You know, my idol was Zidane, you know. Even though I was a striker when I was younger, I just loved Zidane. Till now, he's everything. And I used to do what I guarantee you at least 90% of the footballers do now. And I used to watch YouTube clips before my game to pop me up. Look at this, look at that, you know. It's like little things, but I can't, honestly, I cannot explain what I think God put me over the line in that game, man. Really, like he gave me the confidence. He just like told me, go, you know, and I was able to be confident in my abilities. But as I said, the support network around me is very important, because those guys there, like Hussein Shakir, Allah yarhamu, he's the one that came off the field for me to come on. He didn't go and get angry or anything. He gave me the biggest hug. He's like, come on, Habibi, go kill him. Go smash him. You know? And you can see he's not just saying it. Like he's sincere in his eyes. You know? And in the first grade squad, you had players like Wasim Hijazi, who obviously we all know. He was in the first grade squad. He used to always watch me as well because we played in the same club. And these people just giving me confidence when I was young, and it worked, man. Like, but how to explain to you what I felt, I honestly cannot explain, because from being a nervous little kid, I felt like in the 25 minutes I played, I turned into a young man, you know, and I was confident to play every week, and I wasn't scared anymore, and I wasn't nervous anymore. So yeah.
No, God bless you. It's a credit to yourself, your family, and the network that you talk about, because a lot of people do it religion and injustice. And when I mean that, it's like religion is holistic. So you on the football pitch, you're representing your name, you're representing your faith, your family, and everything that comes with what you have. So when you commit that foul and you want to do a Kevin Muscat, or you want to spit on someone, or you want to do something that's anti-football, that's going against the teachings of your religion and the code of the game, it seems like people have been taught it's okay to lose those values because the result means everything and it's a be all and end all. And you as a person are rubbish. Whereas your representation, because people like myself, I watched you, I've seen you as I was growing up, and I seen how good you were doing at the level you were doing. And I'm like, he's an inspiration. And you always gave back things that I never forgot. And I also do remember that the bad instances and things that have happened from other cases. So it's important that every moment defines you. And the result, you're in a results-driven industry, but there's more to it.
That's right.
So
100%.
You continue to rep yourself, rep your religion, rep yourself in a way that is admirable, and we'll continue to get to that. How does it feel to make the Australian schoolboys? Not a lot of people have done that. And you not only did that, you went on tour. Talk to us about that.
Right, that was, it was funny, that one, because I finished P10 from Hurstville Boys, and I really wanted to go Oatley, and my parents didn't want me to go Oatley. They're like, first of all, we think it's too far, and secondly, we just feel like you should just move away from your friends and your HSC years and just try to focus on your education and stuff. Obviously, respected my parents. I didn't disrespect them or anything. All right, you know what? Whatever you like. So I went to Kingsgrove, got accepted at Kingsgrove High School, and from the get-go, my support network was unbelievable. Like the players and the people in Year 12, people that had just finished Year 12 and they were coming to watch our soccer games, or giving me confidence in myself to keep that I'm a good player. These guys telling me, you're a great player, man. The school's doing well. You're playing good. Keep going, keep playing. We went into some knockout games. Our team wasn't that great. We had some good players here and there, but as a whole, it wasn't the best. But we did what we could. Credit to them all. Not all of them were playing full-time football. Some of them were just students that just wanted to play soccer in a knockout comp. And then Year 11 came. I went to try out for Sydney East and all this kind of stuff. I went down with boys like Hussein Jafar, Ghassan Faraj, David Mostowski, Ali Hayra. Mate, I've got the photo still here, man, from that day. Who else? Kalui was a great player as well at that time. Hassan Kadu. We had some good players, man, from the two different schools, and we made the Sydney East team. This was in Year 11, and then I was the only one to make it to the next level. And then I made it into the shadow squad. So I didn't make it into the main team. I made it to the shadow squad. So if someone was injured, they went. And I said, you know what? All right, next year, I'm going to do whatever I can to make this Australian schoolboys team, So I went one by one. SubhanAllah, that year I was playing, I got signed at Bankstown City Lions under 20s. So I was getting some good training, No, forgive me. That was before Bankstown. I was still at St. George in my final year. And I was getting good training from David McGrone and everything. And I was training and I was trying to get myself to be the best striker in the league, to continue my under 20s. And I wanted to try to crack first grade, And then we had the school trials come up. What happens? Who's the coach for my Sydney East team? I can't remember his name. But it was a coach that I played against when I was playing at St. George. He was coaching Sydney United at that time. And I'd scored 2 goals against him the weekend before the Sydney East trials. So we had a chat and he told me, were you the guy at St. George? I'm like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He got me into the team and we had a great team. As I said, all those boys were in that team the second year again. Had another guy called Alexander Jovanovic, great centre back. Played in South Korea most of his life and is now playing at the new Western Bulls. Yeah, great player. I always rated this guy. Tall, I guarantee he's about 2 meters tall, thin, but very smart, very quick, can tackle. So we had a great team, Sydney East. If I remember correctly, we either won that year or maybe we came second. I can't remember. And then it was time to nominate the the two combined high school teams, they call them. Okay, and my name came up in the first team, and I was like, all right, wow, wow, this is the first step. I've made it to the next step. Okay, so go to the next step. The two combined high school teams. This is where you've got schools like Westfield, players from Westfield coming in. Like Endeavour was already in our comp. You've got players from all the Hunter Valley, all these players from all these other sports schools, the Hill Sports, all now are split between two teams. From those two teams, you've got to make one team that represents the New South Wales public school system, practically. So within those two teams, we used to play games against each other and everything. And I was selected as the striker from those two teams for the public school system. From that, we go to play against the Catholics, the independent schools, and the combined, I think, independent schools, and it's combined Catholic schools, I think, and the public schools. Three teams, three New South Wales teams fighting to play to make one team. At that time, I had a great person. I met a guy called, his name is Andrew Bazzi, great bloke. Used to come and take me because I never had my license back then. So he used to come and take me to training and stuff. We became very good friends. He was a great goalkeeper. Played with me at Bankstown as well for many years. And then we started to play, man. And we're playing against all these other players, like that I was playing against in my league. Some of them are a year older than me. So, and I could see some of these guys, and they can see me, and we're playing and everything. And then it got to the stage where they had to make the New South Wales combined high school team. So that's it, combined from public schools, Catholic schools, and independent schools. Mate, and I was nominated as a striker, man. I was nominated as a striker, and it was just the fact that I made that New South Wales team for me was unbelievable, because our tournament was now Northern Territory, in Darwin. So obviously we had our few training sessions. My dad's proud of me, my school's proud of me, all these kind of, like everyone was proud of me that I knew, all my friends, my family.
How did you feel though? Because traveling with football is something special. And at that age, going to the Northern Territory to play a knockout comp or to play a comp that puts you on the map, how was that?
Yeah, that's when I felt like I was a professional. Because you're traveling interstate, they've got your lunch ready for you. They've got the oranges, they've got the physios, everything's there, You're playing on a great pitch, on a great little stadium that looks like, what stadium does it look like? It was probably as big as Blacktown City Demon Stadium. It was nice. One stadium on one side, seats on the other side. Beautiful, yeah? And I had a great team. Like I was traveling with some great players, Glenn Trefiro, had people like Chris Payne, had some players like Alexander Jovanovic that I told you about. Very, very good players, man. And we're there, and me and my dad and Alexander and his dad and my mate Andrew Bazzi and his dad, we all stayed together. And mate, I was living on Subway, mate. Living on Subway and whatever the food they gave us at soccer, which was just like salad sandwiches. So we were being healthy. At the same time, we had trial exams for HSC. So, look, I wasn't the brightest kid. I was never the brightest kid, but I just made sure I did my work. I did my best when I could, I was a bit of a class clown, but I wanted to do my best for my parents. I'll tell you from now, and I tell this to everyone, I finished school to make my dad proud. I went to university to make my dad proud, because I just wanted to stop and I wanted to work with him as an electrician, or you might laugh at me, I wanted to be like a fireman, yeah?
I wanted to be an Ambo and everything as well, don't worry. I won't laugh at anyone. No, yeah.
So, mate, and anyway, I'll continue the story and then back to why I went to university. So we're there, we're playing Australian schoolboys. We've got like a great team. We went undefeated. I think we conceded 1 or 2 goals the whole comp against every team. I was either top goal scorer or second top goal scorer in the competition. Yeah, man, and then we're just, obviously being in another state, we're traveling, we're sightseeing, we're doing all this stuff as well, doing it with my dad, the best thing, you know, and then it got to the stage where they want to call out the names of the players. So the coaches in that, we're all on the field, the parents up in the stadium, and they start to talk. The coaches are starting to talk about the team. The team is going to go travel to the UK and Ireland, all this kind of stuff. And mate, all right, first person, number 9 for New South Wales, Haj Hussein Ali Akil. Wow, bro, if I tell you that feeling, mate, I'm actually, my heart's beating now just trying to remember that feeling and looking at my dad. And my dad was like you couldn't, like he was the happiest man on earth, honestly. And that's what made me so happy, to see how my dad reacted and how happy he was, you know. And I got up there and I got like my certificate and all this kind of stuff. And mate, it was like, at that moment, obviously it was better than playing for 20s and all that kind of stuff, because I'm now being selected to represent my country. Like I have the opportunity to play for my country. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, like they selected the team, and most of the team was from New South Wales because we dominated the competition. I think about 9 players were from New South Wales, the rest from other states, or 8 players New South Wales, just from other states. And something that made me feel even more proud of myself is the actual coach came up to me and told me, you were selected after the second game you played. So you played like 6 games. He's like, you were selected after the second game you played because you had something as a striker that we didn't see in anyone else as a striker in the comp. And I was like, wow, man. Like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And my New South Wales coach was there. He was like, yeah, we actually knew, but we can't tell you anything.
Hey,
So,
that's legendary. Can you share with the people the coach's perspective? What did he see in you? I'm mainly guessing because I have a theory. What did he see in you that other strikers didn't have?
So a lot of the teams had big strikers that were probably a bit more unfit. Some other teams had strikers that were probably holding onto the ball too much. What I did throughout the comp, and I'm confident to say that, was I did a lot of good link playing with my number 10s and my midfielders. And then as soon as I let the ball go, I'd go straight into the box to get a crossing or a through ball. I was finishing my goals, my chances. I was assisting. So like I was doing everything that I had to. And because I knew it was training for Australia, I was putting extra effort in with my defensive duties as well, you know? Like I would know that the guy's gone past me, but I wanted to keep putting pressure on him, because what would happen is I was thinking to my mind, if I keep putting pressure on that defender, he might buckle, and then my other teammate might get the ball off him, or he might kick it out, or he might do something. And that was my mentality as a striker my whole career, to keep putting pressure on the defenders, you know? And I think that helped me. And obviously being at that age, I was very fit, very lean, eating healthy, training a lot, you know, trained every day. Training was every day at that age, non-stop. You never thought about injuries. You never thought about tearing a muscle, doing a ligament. Mate, you're on the road, honestly, playing with my neighbors on the street barefoot nearly every day, at the park every day, you know, so I never stopped training. And just when he told me that, I actually had to look back, and I spoke to my dad when we got home. I'm like, Dad, what did I do good? Like, what did I do good? I actually asked him. I used to ask him for feedback. And like my dad, I felt like he didn't want to shatter me anyway. He just wanted me to keep being happy. He's like, Hassan, you did everything brilliant. That's exactly what he told me. Hassan, everything you did was brilliant. And I know there was a few mistakes here, there's a few mistakes there. But what I understood from him was, you just made the Australian team. You were the first player picked. Everything you did, do the same thing, but with a bit more aggression, or a bit more, like improve it a bit more to a higher ability, because you're going to be playing against other countries. And that's it, you know? The one thing that stopped me from wanting to go to the tournament was, it was costing $6,000. Now, my dad, obviously, my family weren't a wealthy family at that time, you know. My dad just started working as an electrician, you know, working for someone else, not making much money. We were renting, very old house, 4 kids, you know. So the first thing I said in my heart was I didn't want my dad to pay this. That's the first thing I said. I don't want my dad to pay for this. Like I actually felt so like the thought of asking my dad for this money was hurting me. You know, like I would say, like we weren't completely poor, but I knew that my parents could use money. Like I would want to get soccer boots. I never went for the best boots. I went for the lowest range, and I didn't care. The only time I had the highest pair of boots is when my uncle got them for me as a gift. You know, other than that, I will just try to get the lowest range, and then like we saw that I had a letter that came to my house, and it said, "Hi, you have been nominated to receive a scholarship for your Australian schoolboys. We would like to know everything about you, about your footballing, what footballing." So I had to fill out these 3-4 pages, and mate, it was the best 3-4 pages I filled out in my life.
Legend.
It was better than my modern history exam. It was better than my English. It was better than any of my HSC exams. I tell ya, these 4 pages were the best thing I've ever written in my life. And the truth is because it was from my heart. And because I wanted to take a burden off my dad. Now they didn't say how much the scholarship was for. They just said you're in the running to get a scholarship. And I did everything min albi, you know, and questions about why I started playing soccer, questions about when I started playing soccer, questions about who motivates me to play, all this kind of stuff. Who's your idol as a player? You know, back then I was very intelligent. I didn't put Zidane. I wanted to put someone from Australia.
Who'd you pull?
And back then Harry Q was my favorite. I'll be honest.
Very
Harry Q
similar
was my
style you
favorite.
played as well.
Yeah. Harry Q was my favorite player. And and obviously I loved Viduka, and I really loved Bresciano. I don't know. I thought he was a different type of player. For an Aussie, he was very
He's
different.
playing in Italy as well at the time. You must have loved the Italian league too.
Yeah, I did. But Harry Q for me was, and then I spoke about Harry Q and how we play very similar, but he's left-footed, I'm right-footed. And I started, mate, like honestly, after I sent that pack to the person, like I went to the post office 5 times to make sure that they got it. That's how eager I wanted to know, to make sure it didn't go somewhere else. And I was praying extra rak'atain every day for God to help my parents. You know, I really wanted this opportunity, but I was never going to ask my dad for the money. Even though I know if my dad had to borrow the money, he would have borrowed the money for me. I know.
It's crazy, bro.
Like,
And it goes to your pure intention, like you were saying, your God conscious, your God way, and our godly way you were doing. It's always for your parents. Now, for a child, obedience to your parents is necessary. Without that, you got no faith.
Of course.
And subhanAllah, you take a step towards God, and look how God helped you on that journey and opening paths.
Look, I'll be honest. I think the way, not just my parents, my uncles, my aunties, at a young age, being around them all the time, you know, helped me be a very respectful person in life, you know. My dad used to take me, we used to go to the mosque, Zafariya, back in the days when he used to be at Rockdale, just across 7-Eleven in Rockdale, near the train station. Mate, I used to go to the mosque there as a young kid religiously, 3-4 days a week, you know. I used to just go and learn and everything, and be around people from the mosque. And that taught me a lot of discipline as well, you know. So after sending the letter, I literally put all my faith in God, and I told God, please, God, do it for me and do it for my family. Please, give me this opportunity. And then, mate, I got a full scholarship.
Alhamdulillah, God bless you.
Full scholarship, man. Like, it paid for everything. And I didn't tell my dad I was doing the scholarship for him. I didn't tell him, you know, because I didn't want to bring up the fact if he was going to be able to let me go to the Australian team. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want him to feel like he was going to get upset. He was going to get upset with me that he can't provide me with the $6,000. So I never asked him. I got that letter a week after I got selected, and I filled it out and everything, and I sent it through my own. And then I got the letter that I got a full scholarship, and then I showed it to my dad. And then I just got all these other certificates, man. Like, I got Rockdale City Council's Athlete of the Year. I've got a New South Wales blue certificate, which is like the highest certificate you can get for a football in New South Wales. Mate, with all that stuff, it just, man, alhamdulillah, man, God really helped me, and like made me feel like all the hard work that I was doing was actually paying off. you know?
100%. And a lot of people don't understand. They might see you playing, say you're a hungry, determined, skillful player, but they don't understand the hours and the sacrifices and the years that you put in to get to the level that you're at. It's almost like you were born like that. And, you know, it's interesting the perspective you give, because it teaches people, one, who aren't in the football scene, two, the struggles that you've had to overcome and the things and the perseverance. It gives it more respect, because a lot of people sit and they're very dismissive over the struggles of footballers. It is such a tough, cutthroat industry to make it in, to get to that schoolboy level, to do what you've done. Look, I walked around that school like I was a diva. I didn't even get to the shoelace level. You know what I mean? And like,
nah, Habib.
Yeah, like,
no, bro, no.
It's no surprise I did a podcast. I was telling people I was famous back in the day, you know, and I'm not anything. But I couldn't imagine if I made schoolboys, bro. I'm making my own newspaper. You know what I mean?
Mate, and it got to that stage, man. I was in like the local newspapers, and I was in Sydney Morning Herald. Like, I still got it, man. My sister, God bless her, she saved everything that I was in. Everything, newspapers, internet articles, photos of my teams. My sister was like the gem for me. You know, she really took care of all that stuff for me. She gathered it for me. And like, randomly, like 5 years later, I'm hitting 20. She comes and gives me this folder. She's like, here you go, mate, with all this, you know, memories and stuff. But man, like, it was great, man. Like, I'm not gonna say it wasn't. The hardest, not the hardest thing. It wasn't hard. It was just making sure I stayed humble the whole time. You know, I never went around and bragged and told people I'd be talking to someone and I said, oh, I just made this training. I never did that. In my career, I've never done anything like that. I'd never go and talk about what I've achieved unless someone has asked me what have I done in my football and stuff like that. Even then, I try not to get into too much detail. I'll just say, oh, I went overseas and this and that. And then if they ask me further, I'll talk. You know, and I think it's important to do that as a person. Not just as an athlete, or it's important to be a humble person in general, you know. And my dad taught me that, because my dad, even though that times were down for us, he always was able to provide for other people. If my uncles needed a bit of money, my dad was willing to go and get from our savings and give it to them. If there was someone that he really knew, a good friend, he was happy to get from the savings and give it to them. You know what I mean? And I learned that from my dad, you know, alhamdulillah. So,
God bless him. And it's the environment. You're a product of your environment, not only in sport, but in life in general. And also yourself, you know, you continuously climb the ranks. You're also a product in your upskilling. You know, you're only as good as the people you're playing, the systems that you're in. A lot of people think that they're going to be a Messi or Ronaldo at grassroots football. Unfortunately, it's not the case. It's nothing about yourself. It's just you're not at that level. You haven't exposed yourself and you haven't got there. Now, you did that. You now climbed the ranks. Talk to us about 2010, making the Lebanon under 23s. What was happening around that scene? And then how you started to crack the NPL system and you just became a regular now.
I can't believe that was in 2010, man. Far out. It's a long time, bro.
I feel like the biggest stalker now.
What happened was, bro,
I'm telling you the years of what's going on. You know what I mean?
You just reminding me of the dates. To be honest, I went to Lebanon for a holiday. Man. And I was still 2010. Yeah, 20 years old. I wasn't even 20 yet, if I can remember. I probably was 20. And it's just went for a holiday, and my cousin told me, "Why don't you go train with this team?" You know, the team was called Safa. They're in the top league, and I said, "All right, I'll go train with them." I went and trained and everything, and like they were pretty excited about me, but they had a problem where they had too many players and they couldn't sign me, and I didn't care. Like, I was only going there for holiday and just to train. I didn't mind, you know. And then my cousin was like, "Let's go to another team called Al Mabarat." I'm like, "All right, we'll go to this team," and mate, they signed me. They signed me straight away. And when Safa find out a week or 2 weeks later that I got signed there, they went back to my cousin and said, "Mate, you didn't tell us he wants to stay. Like, we would have made a way for him, you know, like we actually liked him. Like, we thought he was a good young player, you know." And he was like, "Look, it's too late. We gave our word," and all this kind of stuff. And mate, you know what? I was on God's great. I was on a very good wage, you know, and I had a sign-on fee as well, which was, I know, like a sign-on fee. Like, what are you talking about, you know? So, so I just played, man. I obviously, because I was still young, they played me 1 or 2 games in reserve grade just to get me to get my fitness back up because I wasn't training or anything like that. And then started playing first grade and first grade and first grade. I'll be honest, I did well, but I could have done better. I did well playing, but I could have done better. I don't know what it was. I was confident in my abilities and everything like that. But I just don't know why I couldn't reach the potential that I wanted to really get to. But I played good enough to get selected for the Lebanon team. Yeah. So for the coach, he thought, in his opinion, I was the best winger in the Lebanon team, because of the attributes that I had. Now, I'm 20. I played already 2 years first grade for Bankside City Lions. Yeah. But the fact that I was playing in a top tier could have maybe got to me with my nerves. Could have, I don't know what it was.
Could environment play a factor? Because it's a different league, different style of play.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, definitely.
You're on foreign soil, even though we're Lebanese. When you're there, you're known as the Aussie. It works in
Yeah,
reverse.
that's
Here,
right.
you're the Lebo, there, you're the
That's right.
Aussie.
Well, look, the first few games I played first grade were probably the hardest for me, just to understand the system and the way they played and everything. And then it started to get better, much better. Like, it got to a stage, mate, I was playing against some really dirty players. And I started thinking, how can these people be dirty? Like, some guy spits at me because I slide tackled him and I got the ball and I went. Another guy, I went past him, he comes in just randomly. And I was like, all right, this is how the league is and everything. No problem. Like, obviously we experienced some of the tackling part playing for MPL1 and all this kind of stuff, but never the spitting. I never experienced someone spitting at me.
That's great.
So, and I'll come back to that guy that spat on me because it's a very funny story. So then anyway, when I started to get better, I started to get noticed. I was getting more assists, all this kind of stuff, getting more involved. And I then got selected for the national team, man. My coach comes up to me. Our coach was a Sudani. His name was Osama Saad. He comes up to me, tells me, Hassan, you've been selected. The under-23s Olympic team. They have a 2-week trial period. They want you to go just train. I'm like, really? He's like, yep. So you can't come training tomorrow. Just go there for tomorrow and good luck. He's like, I'll be honest. They asked me about you, and I told them you did struggle at the start, but you have come very good for me, and I think you deserve the chance. And I was like, all right. That from that coach there gave me my confidence to continue to do better in the comp. So I went to the Lebanon team. I ended up making the team, man. After 2 weeks, a lot of players were complaining about me though, because they were saying, why is he so rough and everything? And then at the end of a few training sessions, the coach just said, this guy is from Australia. Don't you watch them? The kangaroos. This is exactly what he said. Don't you watch those kangaroos on the soccer field? They run, they tackle, they do everything. We just got someone that's got a bit of technical ability, different to what they like. That's what he said. It was funny, man. He was like a funny guy, but he was just telling him that that's how they play in Australia. You got to get used to it. He's like, I want you guys to play like that anyway. We've got a trial game in a month against Iraq. You think I want you guys to be soft? And then, yeah, man. And then I played 4 games for Lebanon. 3 or 4 games, I can't remember. I think Iraq, Syria, Bahrain. And the other one could have been Palestine, maybe. I can't remember. I think it was 4 games. And man, I played really good in all those games, man. I started 2 of them. I came off the bench for 2 of them. I was trying to rotate the teams. I played against a few players that are right now in the Lebanon national team and doing brilliant. Like Mohamed Haidar is one of them. The centre back called Noor. I think now he's getting a bit older. Another guy, I can't remember his name. He's Rabi Ataya. He's a winger. He plays as well. He's a starting player. So all these guys are in the same team as me, And there was a few guys that played in Switzerland and Holland that were in the team as well. And then, yeah, man, that was my experience for that, bro. And it was amazing. Like, I loved it. It was...
How was the setup? Is it a professional setup? Do they gel? How's the chemistry in the team? You've been in a lot of dressing rooms. How would you say that experience goes against any other dressing rooms you've been in?
In regards to the Lebanon in general?
Yeah, just the Lebanese personalities, persona, chemistry in that sense.
Funny, bro. I'm telling you, it is the funniest thing I've seen in my life. It's hilarious. Like, I'm there playing for my team, and I'm playing against Hussein Salami. He plays for another team. So Hussein Salami,
Yeah,
everyone knows Hussein
yeah.
Salami. He's playing for another team. Mate, the guy comes, picks me up, and we're playing against each other. He picks me up, takes me to his mate's house. They're all smoking nargile before the game, and then we go to the game.
Jeez, you gotta
I
love the
kid you not.
Lebanese. You gotta
I
love the
kid you not.
Lebanese.
Some of them were smoking cigarettes. Some players were smoking. Hassan never did that. He was very professional, but the other players from teams, one of my other players used to come and pick me up to go training on a motorbike, and used to always smoke a cigarette while I was on the motorbike.
Oh
Half
man.
time, players are smoking cigarettes. Like, this was how it was back then. If it's changed now, I'm not too sure. I hope so, for the better of the league. But I want to tell you something about these players, mate. These guys are great players. Like, I've seen some players. I played some players in Lebanon that could be world class. The vision, the technical ability, tactical understanding, mate. Wow, I'm telling you, like, some of these guys were brilliant, and I knew why. I knew why Lebanese players weren't really always world known. It's because we didn't have that discipline. There wasn't that discipline, whether it was in the football system or whether it was something else. That discipline wasn't there. If Lebanon had a proper footballing system, like its neighboring countries like Turkey and all these other European countries, mate, I'm not saying those guys maybe don't smoke or anything, but at least then you would see much more players well known around the world. I guarantee you. Quality players, man. Quality. Just think about it this way. Tough country, man. A lot of them were getting paid more for work than for football. So you have to understand that situation there. I knew a guy that was running an antenna company. His name is Tariq in our team. He was half African, half Lebanese. He was running an antenna company for TVs, fixing TVs, anything, and he played football. He used to come from before training 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All these guys had 2 jobs, man. All these guys had 2 jobs. I was the only one, other than a few youngsters, that didn't have 2 jobs. But they were all studying, So
It's
I
crazy. Even in
understand.
rugby league, I had Abba on the podcast, right? Everything you're saying happened in the Rugby League World Cup when they went deep, man. They were one game away from a semi-final. So it's like the same culture, the Larrikin, the Lebanese touch into it, the lack of professionalism.
Yeah.
So sometimes it works for you, most time it doesn't. And even then they had problems with Lebanon because of the board, and they're meant to be playing a certain amount of games. There's no structure, there's no absolute vision and
man. Look,
path for them.
I'll be honest. The reason why I left Lebanon was the team had given me a wage, and like, I think it happens. Every single player's wage got cut because they went through a bit of problems financially, the club. Yeah. For me, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to be able to. I could have stayed with that money and lived on that money, but I thought to myself, if this is how the league is, I don't want to be in this league. I want to be in a league in a more professional environment, stable, all this kind of stuff. So I made the decision to leave, man, and that's why I came back to Australia.
So beautiful. You come back to Australia to pursue and continue. Now you want to go onwards and upwards. Talk to us about that. You came back in the Premier League system. How did that come?
Yeah.
What lessons had you learned? Were you a different player? Did you have something else in the arsenal? What happened there?
So I came back. I was still a striker with a bit more experience, and then I started to play for Sydney Olympic. Great team. Honestly, I could probably arguably say one of the best teams in NPL. We won the double. We came first and we won the grand final. Great team. We had 2 players from that team to go and get selected for A-League clubs, just to show you how good. Yeah. Now, it was before that, before that year is when I was at Sydney FC. And maybe we'll come back to that part. Yeah. But when I was at Sydney Olympic, had my 2 coaches that had faith in me. And I played, and my biggest problem with Sydney Olympic was injuries. That's when my injuries started to pile up, and it was a season where I had minimal game time. I think I played about half the season. Yeah. And the problem was I'd play good and then I'd get injured, and I played good and I'd get injured. And I kept going to physio, and I had a great physio at the time, Ephraim. Great person, great physio, great mentor, who helped me all the way. all the way. Didn't stop helping me.
Good
you
old
know.
Ephraim in
And I had,
Earl, huh?
yeah, mate, yeah, the legend.
Yeah, he's a good man.
And yeah, and I was lucky. Like throughout the Bankstown City Lions years and Sydney Olympic, I had someone like Ibi Hayter, who was older than me, and it was always someone to look up to because he was playing with me at school as well. He was in the older years, and him and Haj Rashid for me at that time were the two best players in the area.
Yeah.
So I used to always look up to them, and then it was amazing how I was able to go and play with Ibi Hayter, first grade for Bankstown City Lions. I was a young kid, and all that kind of stuff. And then I went to Lebanon, ended up coming back and playing for Sydney Olympic, and he was in the team as well. So I had all these great players in my team, and mate, although it was a tough tough year for me due to injuries, I won a trophy, MPL trophy, at the age of 21. I came first, So I had a great experience, being around great players and to lift up the trophy, So, alhamdulillah, although it was tough for me, physically, it did make me a lot stronger to continue playing football. It did mentally.
Coming back from an injury is not easy. So talk to us about,
Nah, man.
did you try and find or pinpoint what the reasons were? Because the last guest I had on the podcast was Jock Campbell, sports scientist. He was involved in the Australian cricket team for 5 years. He works with like Mark Milligan, and when Usain Bolt came and done sessions with him. It's all about making sure that you get to game day. Now, a lot of people find that their technique might be wrong or something along the lines of their preparation. A lot of the Australians, alcohol is a big problem, especially with injury. What was it for you now, looking back in hindsight, that could have been something that, you could have changed?
First, I think I should have maybe gone to a physiotherapy more often, made it like a religious thing where I was with my physio, even if I wasn't injured. I was with my physio at a weekly basis, doing my checkups, doing my stretches, doing my strength work, all this kind of stuff. For me, the biggest problem that happened with me was my hamstring. Now, being a very explosive, fast player, obviously your hamstrings are triggering all the time, changing pace, changing direction, all this kind of stuff. So I think not knowing and understanding about the whole process of strengthening your body, making sure your core is good, making sure all these other parts, your glutes are firing before your hamstring, all this stuff, not understanding that or understanding it too late could have caused me a lot of problems. My body was fine. I had a great body. I was dieting. I was eating well. Not dieting, to be honest. It was just my way of life. I was eating healthy all the time. Had that one cheat meal here and there. Made sure my meals before a game were good. All that kind of stuff. I think it's just it just could have been a day where I had some bad sleep for a few nights. I didn't eat properly for a few nights. I didn't stretch properly for a few nights, and that injury just came during a game, and it could have just persisted. And I was so angry that I got the injury, that every time I wanted to come back and play, I wouldn't do that extra 10% needed to make sure I was 100%. I was too eager to play,
100%. That's important for the kids in the systems that, trying to aspire to do what you've done, to take from your story in that sense, because, I'm someone who never stretched, and, I never even got near the level that you got. So if someone's watching and wanting to emulate or surpass what you've done, you got to take those things seriously, man, because those 1%ers are everything in this industry.
Have to. Honestly, like, I will tell any kid that wants to be a professional footballer, first of all, you got to play as much as you can. Enjoy playing the game. Enjoy the game. Don't play because your dad's forcing you to play. Your dad wants you to be the next Maradona. If you don't want to be the next Maradona, you're not going to be the next Maradona, Habib. If you do not have in your heart that you are not going to be the next Maradona, then you're not going to be the next Maradona. But you're going to play because your dad's forcing you to play, or your mom's forcing you to play. To be professional, everything you're going to do, you got to have it in your heart. And you've got to have the mindset that you're willing to do whatever it takes to be that professional. Which means you've got to eat right. Which means you've got to train right. You've got to study. You've got to study the game. You have to study the game. You have to understand that you're playing in this position. What do I have to do? If your coach isn't that great of a coach, and no disrespect to any coach here, but some coaches maybe don't have the ability to understand tactically where things should happen, but they're there to be with the team, to keep kids off the street, and they're the best coaches in the world. Any coach that wants to come in and keep a kid off the street and keep him with a family, to me, is the best coach in the world, because you've saved someone's life. But some of those coaches are not the best for a kid that wants to be the greatest player. Yeah, with all due respect. So sometimes you have to get out of your way and ask someone else that maybe can come see you play, or go watch videos or YouTube videos or whatever it is on how to play that position correctly. You know, so you've got to go out and beyond. You got to think outside that little square, get outside that bubble that you're in, and expand and try to understand the game, the whole game, from eating, sleeping, liquid, stretching, strengthening, technically, you've got to understand the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. And
every day.
I'm going to go to you to football because I don't know football as much as you. But I had Alexander Volkanovski, UFC champions coach on. And even he was saying in MMA, there's coaches where if you go out to other gyms to expand or to upskill, they don't like that. So they don't like you to grow. They don't like you to go into different environments. Where he's of the opinion, it's totally opposite. He sends Alex to New Zealand, City Kickboxing, anywhere else he can get training to keep him at that world championship level. He's open to. Talk to us about the coaching in football. Are coaches like that? Are they happy for you to do extra sessions at different academies or under different people or training with different teams? Because especially in grassroots football, seems like it's a big no-no. And as you climb the ranks, it's almost like you're taking my player. And I know a lot of boys who've coached at NPL level. It's almost like when their kids are, like if you're playing NPL 3 or 4, if you're going to trial at an NPL 1 team, the parents are almost hiding it from the coach. It's almost like, Habib, NPL 1, of course, go.
Yeah. Nah, look, I'll be honest. Me personally and the people around me, any player that we can provide an opportunity to go to NPL, we send them straight away. We don't, I don't care if I'll give you a proper example. I coached Banker Tigers Premier League. I had a Japanese guy on my team. He was probably the best player, arguably the best player in the whole comp last year. I took him away from Banksia and took him to an NPL club. I took him to my old coach at Canberra Bankstown. His name is Wally Savor, ex-Socceroo great, legend. And I told him, Wally, have a look at this guy for me. He is brilliant. The guy signed him up, mate. From club soccer to NPL 3 straight away. Signed him up. If I was selfish, I would have kept the guy with me and I would have kept him in my academy business, in my coaching business, and gave him money that way. Yeah. But I see the guy's too talented to be there. He doesn't deserve to be there. And if he can go and make some money playing, by all means, mate, good luck. So what we've created, myself and, for example, I have an academy and business partners, Mudrik. What we've created is that where our number one goal is not just to help and improve players and understand everything and help them with their character and all that stuff, but to take players to another level as soon as the opportunity is there, straight away. And we don't care what club they're from. Doesn't matter what club we're from. Doesn't matter who you are and who your dad is, who your mum is. I don't care. If you want to do it, I will help you do it. And that's what our philosophy is, And I think there are coaches like that. There are many coaches like that. I actually don't know if I know a coach that is not like that. I'll be honest, So it's important. Obviously, when you get to an NPL level and it's first grade and people getting paid and all this kind of stuff, it's different. But when we're talking about youth here, I think it's important that you provide them with as much ability as you can to grow and to test themselves. If they're not going to test themselves, they won't grow. Like I have a kid I coach one-on-ones. Great little player, man. Left footer, amazing. Like I'm telling you, he is great. And his dad told me, I don't want to take him SAP this year, even though they want him. I want him to train with you for a year first. A whole year, train with you, play in the team that you're going to coach. And I want you to evolve him. So when he does go to SAP, he's not looked at the player that's behind. I want him to look at the player that's ahead. And like, unfortunately, COVID came, but I had this player in my team and I've been coaching him one-on-ones, very disciplined, trained with his older brother as well. And mate, I can see a good future with this kid. And his dad now thinking, because COVID happened, he's thinking, should I keep him with you another year? And I just tell him, you do what you think is best. If you want to take him, I will support you and I'll keep pushing him and I'll come watch his games and so he could do better and everything. Like we try to, if the players that we coach have films, I tell their parents they send them to me, or the parent sends it to me, and I can give feedback on that stuff as well.
No,
So
brilliant.
look, man, we wanna give every single person, especially in our community, needs to have the idea of wanting to help the youth, because we're done now, man. We're done. We're done. We're the oldest now. We're the ones that have to help the younger players.
And we're going to
help
get to
them
the
grow.
bottom if you're done. We still haven't got to what your next step is.
Oh,
But you keep
okay.
going.
No,
You
no,
keep
no,
going.
no.
You're not done yet,
No,
mate.
I'm just
I got to
saying.
get to the bottom
I'm
of that.
saying we're done, as in the older guys in the generation of my generation and older than me. You should be thinking about anything other than now trying to help out kids, and improving them as players and as people.
100%. Yeah, no,
So, yeah.
100%. So we've gone Sydney Olympic, right? Talk to us a bit about your youth at Sydney FC. What happened at Sydney FC and how was that experience? Because that's a professional fold as well.
Yeah. So I was at Bankstown City Lions. It was my last year at Bankstown City Lions that year, or the second last year. I can't remember. Anyway, and what happens is a coach for Sydney FC. Obviously, the first year of Sydney FC, we had 2 or 3 players in our team that were there. Or two players that I can remember anyway. So if anyone's watching, forgive me if I forgot your name. But Robbie Mileski and Ibi Hayter. They were in the first inaugural year of Sydney FC youth. Yeah. So I said to myself, man, I want to play. I want to try out Sydney FC. I never had the opportunity to that year. Yeah. So that year went by, they won the league. And then the next year, the Sydney FC coach called Steve O'Connor, who at that time was rated as the greatest youth developing coach in the Southern Hemisphere. He was a great coach, for youth. And he sends a list to my coaches at Bankstown of the players that they're coming to look at. My name wasn't on that list, but my coach told them, can we add another player onto that list? And he puts my name on that list. So there's 5 players on that list. Anyway, one day, we're playing against Blacktown City Demons. I was on the bench, and I didn't know that the coach was coming. And the warm up, one of the strikers gets injured. Coach, Huss, let's go, mate. You're going to start the game. I'm like, all right, man. Started the game. We won 4-2. I scored 2 and assisted 1. Little did I know was the Sydney FC coach was there watching. I didn't know, because it was actually the first year of my first grade at Sydney FC, because the other guys that he was watching, they were already starting because they were older than me, and he was looking at them and everything. And then I scored 2 goals that game, and then after that game, I kept scoring goals, and he was watching. And every game he watched, I scored a goal. It got to the stage where he called, they start to call you to come and trial. So he cut all the players down from who we wanted to watch to like 2 teams to come and trial. And I went to the trials at Macquarie University. That's where the headquarters are for training. And trial after trial after trial, calls me up. Huss, I want to sign you for Sydney FC. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, mate. He's like, I've seen what you've done. Even though you got injured and you were out for a few weeks, you still came all the way to Macquarie, knowing where you to live, just to watch the training session for the boys and the trials for the boys. That shows me your commitment to want to be in the team, your commitment as an individual, all this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, man, I couldn't believe it. I was playing for Sydney FC.
Wow, man. So now we're dual international, Sydney FC, in a professional system. You got to be pinching yourself. Please tell me you weren't humble the whole time. Tell the people what was going on.
Mate, look, everyone would ask me, because everyone knew I was trying for Sydney FC.
Yeah.
It went in the newspapers. Obviously, I put it up on my social media. Thank God. I've just signed for Sydney FC. A great honor and everything, and the response for people was very humbling. Yeah, which then told me, why did I go and put this Facebook post up? The truth is, I wanted to be proud of myself, and I felt like I wanted people to know that I played for Sydney FC. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%, bro.
But it was a good thing. Yeah, I know. It was a good thing, though, because it showed me how much people actually cared about me. You know?
Yeah.
And every single person that commented and messaged me privately or texted me, I was always stayed friends with them and spoke to them whenever we met and all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate them always, Like, it's good to know that you had some of these people that some of them you didn't even speak to on Facebook. Like, you knew this guy, you met him once, he added you as a friend, you haven't spoken to him for 2 years, and he sends you congratulations, bro, well done. Like, why is he doing that? You know what I mean?
100%,
Like,
bro. It's
my mind was like,
beautiful.
why is this guy doing that? Why is he doing that? Like, I haven't spoken to you in 2 years, and I noticed that there's so many good people out there, man. And I started
100%,
to
man.
appreciate people more and more. So yeah, man, it's
It's
just
such a positive story, you know. It shows the people as well. Reach out to these people because it means the world, you know, because you're doing well and seeing that your community is right in the success and they're behind you, you know, they're going to be there for the highs and lows. It's a different appreciation, man. And a lot of people might be shy and they might think that something other than that, but it's not the case. The case is we need to show our support, because for far too long, I think we've been held back by not showing that or not expressing ourselves because we're Arabs or we're proud or it shows weakness, you know. And part of doing this platform, part of getting the people's stories out is to show you can connect with the story, man. Everyone struggles, everyone had to persevere, and all the positivity that comes from it is from actions. If you're holding yourself back, you're doing yourself and your community an injustice, because for us to get to that next level, we've got to get there together. We've got to show it.
That's right.
And how else are you going to show it if you don't do that?
100%, man. I agree with you, man. And look, I'll be honest. I've never heard anything like someone wishing me not to do well or anything like that. I've always had great support from the community. You know, my family, my mum, my dad, my siblings, my cousin, like everyone that I knew had always shown me good support. You know, 100%. And that's why I never forget the community. Never.
Oh, 100%. And for me, you know, say someone that's like me doing nothing for the community, it's always trying to give people access to information that they might not have had. If they wish to take it, you can take it. Positivity is what fuels me. But you got to be realistic. Right. There is negativity. You don't want that to define you, though. Like I once slipped up on a podcast. I said something, I was talking with Choc, Mundine, and I made a mistake. That didn't make the rounds on all WhatsApp and all these messages that were getting sent. I'm like, he turned something into nothing. I said he turned nothing into something. Is that big of a deal? You made a meme out of it? All right, good on you. Now send the link. You know, at least view it. Why do you have to make this video? So it happened. But you can't let it define you. Like your intention, like we said earlier, your intent was to give back to your family, to grow, to the love and the passion of the sport. Your intention is pure.
That's right.
So keep, you know, like a magnet, you will attract good people. Because when you're doing good things, like-minded people come. And I'm sure yourself in football, I don't have to tell you, you can tell us, you were surrounded with great talent from this community and abroad because you played everywhere.
That's right.
Talk to us about the S League. You now do what a lot of people wish to do. You're in the highest league of a country, a professional.
Yeah.
And for all the FIFA players, you made a FIFA. You were on the FIFA, mate. Talk to us about that feeling.
I was on FIFA. It was funny, bro. Mate, look, after the Sydney Olympic season, this guy just randomly, I think he was in Sydney or something. I can't remember, man. He randomly messaged me and says, "Would you like to try out in Singapore?" I thought about it, man. At the moment, I was still with Sydney Olympic. I was moving on from Sydney Olympic. I was going to sign with Rockdale Linden at the time for the next year. And I was obviously studying. I was working full time at a retail store. And you know what? This is what happens, bro. I'll tell you exactly what happened, how I got the message. I'm having Thai with none other than Hassi J and his brother Mick Jaffa. We're having Thai fit at Brighton, and these guys emailed me and messaged me. And I showed the boys, and they look at it, and like, what the heck? And at that moment, those two blokes pushed me to make the decision to go. Those two blokes there. Mick Jaffa and Hassi Jaffa are the two blokes that pushed me to make that decision to go. And I thought about it, and I kept talking to them, man, and they're telling me, brother, you're going to be the first player to go play overseas in our area in a long time, all this kind of stuff, you know. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take it. Spoke to my parents about it. My dad was so happy. Mind you, it wasn't anything cemented. It was going to trial, yeah. So I started. It was just like the beginning of off-season. I started training, man. I started training hard. I started working double time for my retail shop to save money. I didn't want to take anything from my dad again. So alhamdulillah, obviously with soccer and stuff, you save money. But at the time, my dad wanted to buy a house and everything, so all my money was going straight back to my parents. You know, obviously keep a few for you, but I wanted to help my dad to buy a house, his first home in Australia. You know, so I started working double time in this retail shop, man, non-stop, 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours. Anyone called sick, yeah, I'll come and take it. I was working, man, non-stop. And then I saved enough money to make me like go there, travel, stay there for 2-3 months if I had to. Yeah. Anyway, I got myself fit. I went to Singapore. I got there. I started to think to myself, I met this guy. His name is Fabian. There was another Aussie guy there. There was two guys, Aussie guys there trialing out. There was me. One was from Central Coast, and another guy from Western Australia. But I met this guy. His name is Fabian. He's from Trinidad and Tobago, but lives in America. Till now, I speak to this guy non-stop. He was a guy, and I'm going to tell you about this guy's character throughout the season in Singapore that made me believe that I was the best player that could be. This is how much faith this guy had in me, man. So anyway, the trial periods are up, and I saw that guy, and I saw the other players, they weren't financially well off, and I didn't want to go to a hotel anymore. I said, I'm going to go in a hostel and just stay with you guys. And I just wanted to be with them, you know, I thought it'd be a nice job, stick with them. I didn't want to think I'm high class. I'm someone different to these guys. I wanted to be in the same boat, and I wanted to push myself to make the team being in this type of situation. So we would go from hostel to hostel to stay whenever our lease was up. You know, it was like $25 a day each person. Our lease was up. We'll go to another hostel and we'll stay there while the trials were happening. Anyway, we just went to one club to trial first, and I had a great trialing experience. Mind you, this club wanted an attacking midfielder, a centre midfielder. I was a striker still, and I took the punt. I said, I want to go test my abilities. Went there, and I absolutely smashed it, man, in the trials. Killed it. I was scoring goals in all the trial games, internal games. I was scoring goals from midfield, and all this kind of stuff. And then they provided me with a contract, and they provided Fabian with a contract as well. One of the Aussie guys, unfortunately, he was trying out for another team. We played against them, and he was centre back, and I went past him twice to score 2 goals. Yeah. And he didn't get the contract.
Oh, so bad, my God. No, you got to do what you got to do.
I'm so sorry, man. I want to make it as well, you know, like, what do you expect me to do? You know? But yeah, so me and Fabian, out of all those players, made it into that team. And we said, you know what? The agent said, look, I've got other teams you can try out for. And I'm like, nah, I just want to stay this team. That's it. You know? So we stayed with the team called Woodlands Wellington. Wasn't a very powerful team. Didn't have much money like everyone else. But obviously had enough money to survive and save. You know? So it was good. Good living. Alhamdulillah. But yeah, so from there, man, the feeling when I was signing that contract, I was so nervous, man. Like I told my mom, I told my dad, I spoke to them, and I spoke to I think I spoke to Hassi J as well, telling him that I got the contract and everything. And man, I was there and they were all happy for me. And then as soon as I was signing that contract, my hand was shaking, man. Like I couldn't believe, in Lebanon it was different. I got family there. I've got everyone there. It didn't bother me. I got my cousins, my uncles, my aunties, my grandparents, you know, I had everyone there. But now I'm in a totally different country, not knowing anyone, you know. Yeah. And it was a big step. Leaving my family. I was very close to my family my whole life, you know. And you know what? I just signed it, and that's it, man. I started.
Talk to us about that now. The training, the being homesick, dealing with the day-to-day struggles as well. Because the pressures, a lot of people you can't, when you listen to this, you can't be dismissive of the pressure of making the team week in, week out, performing in training, making sure, you know, I don't know if people know, when you got people watching you, then you got to perform. It's like the lights are on 24/7. You look at fighters, they fight 1, 2, 3, 4 times a year. You got that same pressure every session because you need to make the squad. You need to prove your worth. And then at the same time, you want to be a team player. And you're abroad. Talk to us about that, man. I couldn't imagine. Shed some light for the youngsters.
Mate, as soon as I signed, I got homesick. I'm not going to lie to you. because they moved me in my own apartment, and I got homesick. So then my apartment, Fabian came in with me, and another player came in, and we all had our own ensuite bedrooms. Very nice apartment, very big. I was homesick, man, for 2 weeks. I was calling my family every day, you know. But not once did I think of coming home. Not once, because I thought of everything that I was doing and the reason why I wanted to do this, and I wanted to be the best player that I could be, and I wanted to make my family and my community proud. And I never let that go by my side every time, you know. So throughout those 2 weeks, I was literally calling my parents every day, man. I was reading Quran every day, you know. I was. Those 2 weeks were tough, man. And then after those 2 weeks, pre-season training and stuff, I felt better and felt better. And then that's when things got good. Pre-season came around, man, tough, bro. It was tough.
Different to what you've had previously experienced? Anything different?
Yeah, different. Because when I went to Lebanon, I got there just a week before the season started, and I signed on the day of signing day, finishing. Yeah, so I didn't do a preseason with them, so I had to do my own stuff with the coach. Sydney FC, we didn't have a preseason because you had just finished from your level in PL1, and you were training to start the youth league season. Went to Singapore, mate. Training in the morning, 10 a.m. start or 9 a.m. start. It's 1,000 degrees. Humidity there is unbelievable. And you're just training and running and training and running. You go home, you don't do anything other than fall flat on the couch, and I'd have a sleep, wake up, get ready to go training again in the afternoon, in the evening, you know. And we did double sessions. Every second day. So it was tough, man, but it was amazing. I loved it. Like the first 2 days, I was like getting too used to it. The double session days, I was getting used to it, and I was a bit worried that my body wasn't able to handle the amount of training, because I never had that amount of training, other than when I was at Sydney FC, because like I was training with first grade every day as well and stuff like that. But twice a day training, my body was getting used to that. But I think after a week, I was good, and I had Fabian to thank, because he was experienced. He played in America, in the leagues in America, and all that kind of stuff. He played in like Ecuador and all these other Central and South American countries. You know, he was very experienced. Whenever he would stretch, he would be like, "Hus, let's go. Make me get the roller, stretch with him." Whenever he had a core session, let's go. Made me do a core session with him. You know, I was blessed to have him, man, and he was someone that was very spiritual as well. Yeah, very spiritual. He was a Christian, very spiritual. I used to read Quran, he used to read the Bible. Same times. He used to speak to his mum. I used to listen to how he used to speak to his mum, the respect and everything. I'm like, wow. I hope when I'm 30 like him, I'm respectful like him, like how he is to his mother, you know, and to his family. So I learned a lot from Fabian, how to keep myself mentally strong throughout the time, how to stay positive, you know, with everything. And mate, before you know it, we had 4-5 weeks of pre-season, of strenuous pre-season. I was the lightest I've ever been in my life. I think I got down to like 71, 72 kilos, trim, light, shredded, you know, cooking my own food. Don't forget, I was cooking everything on my own. Yeah. So like, man, making pasta, like up before games, all that kind of stuff. There was times where I was too tired, so I'll go to the local Asian shop and get like a veggie plate, or some like nice noodles or something like that, veggies and noodles, all this kind of stuff, you know. So I made sure I was healthy the whole way. You know, here and there you go, obviously you have a dinner out, or you give yourself a nice KFC or something like that, you know, just to break that cycle and start again, chuck your body and keep going. But round one came out of nowhere, you know. after getting smashed in preseason. You know, mind you, before signing in Singapore, you had to complete the beep test in over 12 level 13.
Oh, wow.
It was mandatory for you to sign in the league. You had to be level 13 in the beep test. If I wish it was outdoors, it was inside an area in an indoor stadium. Yeah, they've got these fans in the sky. Each fan is like, it's big, but it doesn't even reach you when you're running. The humidity is unbearable. You know, so I was there. Everyone has a day for when they have to come, and they get like 10 players each time. I was there. Me and Fabian were on the same day, same time. And mate, the guy said, "You know what, Hus? Leave some water in your mouth to start off with. Keep yourself hydrated as long as you can." Like, all right, I want to try it. Oh, this is this guy's thing. I've had faith in him already. I might as well have faith in him with this little thing, you know. So we started the beep test and had a bit of water in my mouth, and I'm running and I'm breathing in and out through my nose, in and out through my nose. The guy, I think the guy's done it many times, bro, with the water in his mouth. I couldn't do it anymore. So I just slowly, after each line I got, I started to drink a little bit of water, kept myself like nice hydrated, and then kept going. My aim was, I didn't want to overdo anything. I didn't want to go and get 15 and 16 like other players were doing. I said, I want to make sure I get the mark that I need to, so my body is ready for training tomorrow. That's all my mind was about, getting that mark. Going backwards or forwards. I didn't get a warning, 3 warning. You get kicked out and you have to do the beep test again. If you don't pass the beep test, you don't get signed. You're gone. Yeah, it's very, very, like, it's strict. I don't know why they do that, but anyway. And then, yeah, man, I got to 12.9, 12 point whatever it was, 13. And I said, I'll go 13.1. Went to 13.1 and then I pulled out. And then my coach saw me and Fabian pulled out and he got up. He was watching. He just went home. He's happy just to see that we passed, you know? And then, yeah, man. So that was experience, that thing, that beep test, man. I was surprised about that.
Yeah, that's a
Never
big
seen it
number.
before.
13 is not an easy feat,
13,
man.
yeah.
And I mean, got to be tip-top shape for football, but you can't play football underdone.
Oh, look, if you're playing MPO level and stuff, I think you should be able to get 13. You
Yeah.
have to.
No, you have to.
But now it's not all based on that stuff anyway. Like you got the yo-yo test, which is a bit more football based, you know, where you're sprinting and then you get a bit of a recovery and then sprinting again, a bit of recovery, you know. So, but yeah, man, everyone's got their own opinion on those tests, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you're Singapore, clean country, you know, someone like Fabian,
Yeah.
to be there, like, as well for the viewers, is it by surprise? We've got a hadith from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam that says the responsibility of someone of knowledge is to give. You see someone, Fabian, who had you under his wing, you know, and
Indeed,
then,
man.
you know, and gives you that experience or gives you that confidence. It's more so for people to understand when you have something, you got to give it because you can help someone exceed and reach
That's right.
heights that they never imagined. Also, what I took from what you were saying is, with difficulty comes ease. You know, you persevered, you trusted, your faith, your intention was purely God consciousness. It gets easier. A lot of people feel that
That's right, man.
entitlement. You know, when the entitlement comes, I signed the contract, I should be good, I should be training, I should be this because I'm royalty. Bro, relax, be humble. That's not how it is.
Yeah.
So you get through preseason, you score. You're now in the news. You're now doing well. You're linking up the chemistry. The team's building into something.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Because it starts to make sense now.
So obviously, when we moved into the new apartment, we used to walk to and from the stadium because the stadium was like from top of Wollongong Road to Woolies. That's how far I lived from the stadium, and I used to walk it every day. Yeah, so I used to walk it to training. Sometimes when I was really, really tired, I used to catch a bus. I used to walk it. First game came up, home game, and we're playing against a team called Geylang United. And mate, playing a great game, passing, all your stuff. Corner comes in. This guy misheaders his corner, comes straight to me. I'm not just saying this, bro. My body was shaking. I can feel it now. My body was shaking when the ball stood right in front of me. It had just bounced, and all I did was got on top of it with my shoelace and smashed it low and hard, and it went in. It was my first goal in that league. First game, first goal. Mate, I went to the crowd, and the feeling, like, I could not believe it. Like, it's like every first goal, like I'm not joking. I scored my first goal when I played for St. George, when I told you about that. My first contribution, even when I did score my first goal, amazing. Bankstown City Lions, first grade. When I scored my first goal, unbelievable. Like every single one of my first goals I've ever done in a representative thing, I had tears in my eyes. Everyone. I had tears in my eyes. I promise you, because it was this sign of relief that you've worked so hard and you've achieved what you worked hard for. Yeah. So after the game, congratulating the fans out there, signing jerseys, all this kind of stuff. Amazing, man. Unbelievable. Even though there's not much fans there because the league isn't that big. But those fans that were there made you feel like there were 50,000 people, you know, gathered around you, wanting to come and your autograph and take photos and this and that. And then, man, I was walking and Fabian told me he was going to catch up with a mate of his that was from America. And I was like, no worries, man. I'll walk home on my own. And I'll swear to you, I don't care if anyone laughs at me. From the day I left the stadium till I got home, I was crying the whole way from happiness, crying, like, and thanking God. And like all these things, man, like I couldn't hold myself back. The tears were coming down and I couldn't believe it. And my heart was racing and I was so happy. And I was like, I want to experience this every single day in football, you know, in football. Never like just in life, because obviously life is bigger than football. But in football, I wanted to experience this beautiful feeling of showing people that I can do what I've set out to do and I can back it up, you know, and to prove myself that I'm better than what I think I am as well. So yeah, man, and then it started going, man. We started just playing, and our team wasn't the best team, to be honest. We had a lot of guys that weren't full-time footballers, you know, like similar to Australia, Lebanon. A lot of the footballers there struggled in life, expensive country, jobs, all this kind of stuff, very hard to find. So the few footballers that we did have were very good players. The rest were probably average. Could play. The rest could possibly play MPL 3 level, maybe nothing more than that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so nothing major, but and then it was tough, man. I'll be honest, it was a tough year because the team wasn't that strong. It just you could tell everyone's relying on the visa players
Yeah.
to do something.
How was
Yeah.
that pressure-wise, especially because you had to carry all
Look,
that
it
with
was a
you?
lot of pressure. I'll be honest, it was a lot of pressure, but I never showed anyone. I never showed anyone. I always showed anyone, I'll take care of you guys. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Fabian always was telling me, and this is why Fabian has a big thing in my life, because he used to always tell me, Has, you have the ability to go play in the NSL, in the what's the American top league? The
MLS.
MLS. He used to always tell me this. He used to always tell me, you've got attributes to play there. I can see it in you. You can do it. He used to always tell me this, man. He used to always tell me after this, make sure you go somewhere else. And because of him, I went somewhere else after Singapore, you know, for a few months. He used to, the faith he had, and he was, and I told him, I want you to be critical about everything that I do wrong. Everything. And he was honest with me, man. He was honest. If I did something in a game where I should have done better, he would tell me about it. You know what I mean? The thing was, it got to a stage where I had to play different positions as well, because we had players that are injured and you had no one else to play there and you couldn't trust anyone else to play there. So I played centre back for about 4 or 5 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I played centre back for about 4 or 5 games, purely because of my ability to play with the ball, my communication with the players. I was always talking to the players, always talking to the team, all that kind of stuff. My speed, my physicality. You know, the other guy next to me was tall, so headers, obviously, I would try to get up. If I didn't win any, no problem. He would back me up, and vice versa, you know? But man, like, I personally think, on a personal level, I had a good year, a very good year. I had teams like that came first and second, approaching me to sign me for the next year, according to a specific new visa rule that might come out. Because back then you only had 2 visa players. They were working on getting a 3 visa player rule. Yeah. And some of the teams that were coming, like in top 4, were coming to me telling me, if this rule comes up, you come to play for us. because they had their visa players. They were happy with their visa players. They're top teams for a reason. Their visa players are doing their job as well as their local players. Yeah, man. And I was honored. I was honored. You know, one of the coaches came, took me to dinner and everything. He was a coach for Tampines Rovers, which is one of the biggest clubs there. Took me to dinner and everything, and told me, look, as soon as it comes out, we're gonna meet with you again. And unfortunately, man, the rule didn't come out. I had a bit of lower clubs in the same region as my team that wanted me to come and play for them, but I didn't feel it there, man. I don't know why. I just said, you know what? This guy got me a trial in Indonesia, and I might just go trial in Indonesia, man, and try my luck there. You know.
So did you feel that you had any, like, how do I say, support from previous players that could have been in that league? Like, has there been paths that have been paved for us Australians that go there, or is it just you did everything alone?
I'll be honest, I did everything alone.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the honest truth. Everything, everywhere that I went to, there's never been a third party getting involved to get me a contract.
Yeah.
Someone might have told me to come and trial, and I'd go do it. They're like that guy to come to Singapore, go trial. He just messaged me, told me come. We think you'd be a good asset to the club, blah blah blah. I went and trialed. Other than that, from Rockdale, Illingdon, I went and I trialed at Olympic. I got signed. From Olympic, I went to St. George. From the coach, he wanted to sign me. From St. George, the coach from Bankstown City Lions called me up. From Bankstown, I went to Sydney FC. From the coach watching me play. From Sydney FC, I went and played in Lebanon. Yeah, and that's when I went to Sydney Olympic. Or from coaches watching me play. I came back from overseas. I went to, after Singapore, Indonesia, same thing. They watched me play. I went to trial. Someone told me to come trial. I went and trialed. I did everything on my own, you know. Not one person, I could say, that I know took me to any higher level in my career, helping me.
You know what? That's so sad, bro, because I turned my back from football, the whole community. You are the first football guest I've had on the podcast. And it's because of things like that, I feel that those heights were never able to be achieved because those paths were never paved. And that's why I respect your football academy and the work that you're doing, right? Not only are you coaching, you've done that. You've been there, you know the struggle. I can't tell you how it feels to be abroad. But I can I came to a stage where I knew too much, where I'm like, I'm turning my back from all this game because of the politics and the people involved, because I know how not supportive you are. It's like, bro, I legit got into NRL this year, maybe. The links and the people, the support that I've received, I've had the highest of highs. I've had a premiership winning coach on the podcast, premiership winning players and pundits of the game on, and one helped the other, and it was a spiral effect. Like, I even have Buzz Rothfield on my resume. I message him, in 2 seconds he'll respond. I go out and approach people that I should be linked with or networked with. It's almost like I'm sorry for messaging you. And it's not that I'm anything. I'm an absolute, the lowest of the low. But it's just like, why don't we have these networks? Because every other community, and we're going to move to your clubs that you move on to, because you go to Fraser Park, absolutely tear it to shreds at Fraser. You go to Harkoa. Is there a club like Harkoa that has a network and a community and a system that has it down packed? It's almost like our systems are apologetic and they don't want to have a foundation for our people.
Yeah, look, went to Fraser Park. Wasn't sure if I would want to play there because it was MPL2 at the time, But I said, because I've been overseas for over a year and a half, I'll come in and I'll play. Played as a number 8 most of my season there. Ended up getting golden boot from midfield and beating players like Abraham Madjock and
You had a couple of Perth Glory centre-backs playing there. Dean Heffernan was in there as well.
He wasn't there in my team. He came after. When I did get golden boot, I beat 2 guys that got A-League contracts that same year, and they were strikers. And I got golden boot as a midfielder.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I was like, okay, what's wrong with the system at that time? What's wrong with the system? I've just went and tore this competition to shreds. Yeah, I've beaten arguably one of the best players in the league. His name was Neil Jablonski. He was an older guy, but he was a great finisher, great experience. And then I beat these two guys, Trent Bohaje, who was one of them, and Abraham Majok. And these two guys got A-League contracts at the end of that year straight away. And I was thinking to myself, but why didn't anyone just ask me for a trial at least? I'll be honest. I started to ask myself, why isn't anyone asking me for a trial? I beat these two guys as a golden boot from centre midfield, and these guys are strikers. So that's when I started to question the system that we have in Australia more, you know. Hakawa called me up, had some other teams in NPL2 that were interested to call me, wanted me to come play for them. Hakawa called me up, and I thought to myself, man, this club has called me up. The start of the year, the coach spoke to me on the presentation day, spoke about how I played for Lebanon, how I played for Australian schoolboys, literally said in front of all the fans, all the statistics about my footballing career, made me feel like I'm the greatest signing for the club ever. Like, that's how he made me feel, like the coach, you know? And what made me feel better is that the assistant coach, who was a player as well, came up to me after I signed and said, you are the only player, because they were in our league, yeah, they got promoted. He's like, you were the only player that gave us havoc every single time we played against you guys. We played a game. And for him to tell me that, and I'm talking about a guy who is a legend in Scotland, yeah, played in Scottish league, you know, and all this kind of stuff. Great person as well, man. And yeah, so I went to Hakawa. Injuries came back, unfortunately, man, that year. Got injuries like twice, 3 times. I scored great goals, you know, had some good play, good highlights. I was very disciplined, going to training all the time. Never stopped anything, but I had a few injuries, unfortunately, that year. And I'll be honest, they were a good club, man. They treat me very well. Never felt anything different to any other club. Fraser Park, I'll be honest, I think every single club that I went to treated me very well and very honestly. Yeah. And then yeah, from Makawa, I went to St. George.
Talk to us about St. George. You've served a lot at St. George, captain of the club. You know, you made sure that you continuously grew with the club as well. You bring it with you. Talk to us about that and what does it mean to you to be at St. George or have had your time at St. George?
Look, when I went to St. George, I just came back from my honeymoon. I got married, come back from my honeymoon. And, mate, I'll admit, I was a little bit overweight, more than I've ever been. Yeah? So more than I should be. So normally my playing weight is about 76, sorry. I think I was about 79, maybe just hit 80. Okay? And I knew if I went to St. George, yeah, I had to make sure I did well because we had a great coach. To be honest, I had other clubs talk to me, but Wasim Hijazi was telling me, look, why don't you go to St. George, man? Your roots and stuff. The coach loves you. He rates you highly. He's always wanted to try to bring you over. Why don't you just go there and give it a go? I said, you know what? Call him. If he wants me, he'll meet with me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If he's happy to meet with me, I'm happy to meet. Of course, no problem. So Wasim set up, spoke to him, and the guy called me back. Ended up calling me. His name is Terry Palapanas, and he told me, look, can I meet with you? I'm like, yeah, no worries, Terry. Met with him. And like the conversation with him and I showed me how much he appreciated me as a player and how much he rated me as a player. And that I was coming to take practically, he had his squad. He wasn't satisfied with every single player, but he was willing to move on a player that he wasn't satisfied and to tell the board that I need this player. So let's move on this other player who is probably been, we don't need him. So that's what happened, man. And it was funny because the first game that we played, great preseason. But I'll be honest with you, he's probably one of the best coaches I've ever had. He had good vision. He knew how to do the game. He did his homework on the game, all this kind of stuff, you know. He was very good. Pre-seasons were planned. We had our sports scientists, all this kind of stuff. I really enjoyed playing under Terry. And our first trial game came, and it was only like 2 weeks later. I was still a little bit overweight, and the board were talking about me behind my back about why would you go sign this guy? I wasn't fat, don't get me wrong, but I was a little bit overweight. The jersey that I wore didn't help either. Yeah, they gave me a bloody extra large jersey, and when you wear something baggier, it looks bloody huge on you. But anyway, I scored 2 goals that game. We beat Sutherland Sharks, I think 3-1. And from that day, they never spoke about me ever again. Ever again. To be honest, they're the ones that wanted me to become captain of the club after that. After the first year at St. George when the captain left. Yeah. So, yeah, and I had a great year the first year at St. George, man. Great year. From midfield, it was tough. It was a tough year, and it showed the resilience that we had as players because our coach left. And then some great players in our team left with their coach to another club. So we had our team with not everyone there, and we signed some few other players. And then we had a new coach who came in, who was Wally Savor, the guy that I told you that I sent the Japanese guy to another club. And mate, we lost our striker, who was the best striker in the league by far, probably in the state. We lost him. So at that time, we had no striker for a month. I went, spoke to Fabian. Fabian told me about the striker. I told the club, I've got a striker for you from America. We've got to do this for him to come. They looked at his video and everything, and they told me, Hus, are you sure about this? I'm like, I'm 100% sure, go get him. Because I trusted Fabian. Yeah, I trusted Fabian, that's why. All right, so we got the striker. He's now probably the best striker in the whole state. Should be playing A-League. I'm not joking. During the time we didn't have a striker, I knew I had to step up as a player. Yeah. That year I scored 13 goals from midfield. During the time we didn't have a striker was the most goals that I scored. It was during Ramadan, and I scored the most goals I scored in the season. I scored about 6 goals in the 4 weeks. You know, and we just flew, man. We ended up winning the grand final. It was unbelievable.
Wow. The adversities you had to overcome and the things that had to happen in the background as well.
Yeah.
Jeez.
A lot of problems, man, fortunately, but we got through it, man, and won the grand final. And then obviously, and then it was a great year for me that year, man.
How many premierships we've got under our belt? Now it seems like we're winning a total everywhere we go, from 20 to now.
Well, futsal, I have won a few premierships with futsal because I was big on futsal. I was in like an Australian team and stuff in the squad. And then I won the MPL 1, and then I won MPL 2 first grade. I've got Golden Boot, and I've led my team to the last 32 of the FA Cup as well at St. George. Yeah. You know, so
what is it about you where you take a game away from someone? I've seen you. It's like you click or flick a switch in the game. You're like, give me the ball. I'm about to do something. You sit back and watch, make your runs, do what you got to do. But give it to me now.
Look, you know what? It's funny you say that, man, because only the people that have watched me carefully would understand that part about me. Yeah, because my game really flipped when I became a midfielder. Really flipped. Like I was doing all the basics 10,000 times more better. Yeah. And you know what really helped me a lot as a player? Being a coach. Really helped me become a better player as well. So, man, I always want the ball, obviously, but I'm not the type of guy that wants the ball every single second. I've got to understand the game. If I can't get the ball now, let me move out, create some space for someone else to get the ball. But there's this thing in me, and I can't explain to you, I cannot explain to you that I'm able to turn a player when the ball comes to me. It's something that I have, and I'm able to play a quick ball to this person or this ball, or I could be looking somewhere, and I know, like it's funny when Wasim and I were playing the same team at Fraser Park. We had another guy called Jeff Issa, a legend of a person. But like I'm still friends with this guy, absolute gem of a person, and we had a call. The call was Jahaz Halak in Arabic, which means get ready. Yeah, and he knew when I said that word, he was going to go on the sideline, on the side of the shoulder of the defender, and know he's going to make a diagonal run into the middle because that's where I'm going to give him the ball. I guarantee you, we scored most of our goals that year due to that pass. It would go to either Wasim or it would go to Jeff. I'll get the ball from a throw-in, I'll get it from a centre back, check my shoulder. If the guy was on this side of me, like let's say I want to turn here with my right, then I wouldn't do it. I'll turn. I'll either play my striker's feet with my left foot, play a ball with my left foot, whatever. As soon as I was able to turn to this side, he knew. Boom. And the ball would go there and he was gone. You know, so there was those moments that I still have, like, I improved a lot on in my career as well. I think the biggest thing that I proved on in my career as a footballer is scanning the field and the first touch, you know, because a lot of young players aren't getting taught how to touch, to direct their first touch, you know, like, all right, we do a first touch to right in front of you. Okay, whoop to do. But can you direct the first touch? If I pass the ball to you and I come right at you, where are you going to touch it to? Are you going to touch it straight where it is? Are you going to touch it left? Are you going to touch it right? So when I was teaching that to my kids, yeah, and I've been a coach since I was 15, by the way. I managed a company in Macarthur when I was 15, 16. I was coaching my whole life. When I was teaching that to my kids in the last 5-6 years of my career, recently in my career, I started to become better at that, and better and better and better and better, you know? So that's what helped me a lot in my career, being a coach. Definitely, man.
It's important. And I feel that the Australian system in every sport is flawed and needs a lot of improvement and needs to support its athletes in every facet. But what I enjoy about football, the positive part is no matter what real system or rep team you're involved in, even if you're 14, 16, 18, 20, you know, the club wants you to coach or wants you to give back to the juniors or wants you to be a part of the club in some way, shape or form. So it's not a surprise that you're coaching by 15 because you're already in that fold. You're experiencing great coaching and you're around great talent. They want you to give it back.
Yeah. Look, man, I don't know what it is, man. It's like coaching and I'm a teacher as well. It just worked together, you know? It just worked together. Now, when I started coaching, it really helped me understand the management of players, first of all. Yeah. So how to speak to different players. I'm older. I'm talking to these younger guys. How do I talk to these kids in a way they're not going to get upset? How can I keep motivating them and that kind of stuff? Due to that early stages of my life of being a coach, I believe I became the captain that I was in the last few years. Positivity. If anyone needed a good, chat, I knew that this person couldn't chat in front of everyone. He'd get very embarrassed and disappointed in me as a person. So I made sure I did not speak to that person in front of everyone, if need be, like in a very aggressive manner, as a captain. So my teammates knew, and I'll be honest, my teammates made me like even now I've left St. George, and the players all messaging me, telling me of how much they learned from me as a person, and that, you know how much that means to me. It means more to me than someone telling me you're the best player in the community, or you're the top goal scorer, or the best striker, or I watched you play and I want to do this like you. I don't look at that as the best thing ever. I look at someone telling me I learned a lot of good characteristics from you as a person, because at the end of the day, your attribute as a person is what you're going to be remembered when you're gone. You're going to be remembered as the person that you are. I don't want to be remembered as a guy that always used to think I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm here now. Everything's good, guys, blah, blah, blah. I never want that in my life. Never wanted that since I was a kid. I wanted to be like my parents. I wanted to be like my uncles and aunties. As I got older and met my wife and my in-laws and the people that I was around, I wanted to be like these people were very humble people, and that's what made me very happy and blessed to see that due to my coaching at a young age, indirectly, how to speak to people helped me become a good captain on the footballing pitch and a leader on the footballing pitch.
100%.
And it's subhanAllah. Like it's I don't know how it works, but it's a circle, man. It works.
No, God bless you. I'll attest to that as well, man. At 17, which was my last year of football, you were at your heights, you came and you coached us, and we were at grassroots, we're at the lowest level of football at the time.
Yeah.
That
was a great session. That was a great few sessions.
The discipline we had, I don't know, we had 17, I'll blame the age that we're at. But you always giving back, and the lessons that you learned as a person that you're talking about, you've given. And it wasn't today. Yeah. It was years ago. So I'm just telling the audience that it happens and it continues to happen. And what's next? St. George? No more St. George. 31. What are we doing?
Mm. Yeah, I think I've hung up the boots now, man, for MPL high levels. I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm making a decision to look. You've heard everything that I've told you, man. Like futsal, I've had great careers of futsal. I've had great careers. I've won 2 premierships, MPL 1 and MPL 2. I've won a golden boot. I've played an FA Cup on live TV. I've won a Waratah Cup. I've traveled overseas, met new people, played in different competitions. You know, I've experienced so many things in my football career, and now even though I've been still doing stuff for my community non-stop in the last 5-6 years, I'm going full on coaching. I want to really focus on my academy. I do want to grow my academy. And look, I give a lot of credit to the two clubs with my coaching. First of all, obviously, I used to coach at Brazilian soccer schools, which is a little academy back in the days. But I first coached when Hassan Shivli, I think I was like 15. Hassan Shivli at Bangsa Tigers told me, look, can you just help coach this little young team? It's like, no problem, man. I'll help coach you. No problem. Coach them. That was it for that year. And then I went and coached at Ankley for about 2 years. You know, I helped AJ coach with you guys under 17s. You know, I think I helped Mohammed Zahawi coach a few times, his teams a few times. And then I was working with Eddie Briscoe, doing the academy coaching and all that stuff, you know, and that really helped me a lot in my career as well, you know. And then after those 2 years, Banksia Tigers just told me, would you like to help coach the Premier League team? I'm like, well, this will be a bit different. Assistant coach, you know, to at that time, who is my father-in-law now, was my business partner. So me and my father-in-law, Haj Tariq Hijazi, opened up an academy, focused football development, and he was going to be the head coach. And they said, look, would you like Hussein Akil to help you out? And they're like, yeah, no worries, you know. So I give a lot of credit to my community clubs for that. You know, they both gave me opportunities to grow as a coach, you know, which is something that I will always cherish. And Banksia Tigers at that time believed in myself and Haj Tariq's philosophy in our academy. And we were like, I think the first club maybe in the St. George area. We've had now Focus Football Academy doing the SAP program for Banksia Tigers for 6 years running now, you know. So we had a vision to be ahead in regarding to what we want to provide the kids. Yeah. And, you know, man, like just recently, my father-in-law just hung up the boots from coaching, busy at work and all this kind of stuff. And I've got my new business partner, Mudrik. And mate, we're just I want to focus. I've got another kid, house, mortgage. It's not easy. I'll be honest. A teacher's wage to have a mortgage on a house is not easy, man. Football really helped. Really helped. Yeah, but now I've got to think of something else. I've got to think of something that's going to be long-term for me and long-term for the community as well. And most importantly, my family, you know. So I've decided, man, I'm just going to continue coaching the Premier League team at Banksia and even play a bit, you know. I'll be honest, the coaching part is more exciting to me than the playing part.
God help the league if you're playing, mate. God,
Like,
mate, I put you in high regard.
That.
Congratulations. Honestly, you're an absolute legend of a guy.
Thanks,
the
man.
coaching, you're going to put it to new heights. You know, what you've done as a player, you made your name for yourself. Whoever knows you knows you. Whoever doesn't know you, highlights are all over the place. You know, you are a pleasure to the community. Credit to yourself. You're lacing the boots still, mate. I don't watch football. I'm telling you, I've distanced myself. I'm going to come to your game. I can't believe it.
I mean, yeah, look, man, I think it's just, I'm still 31, man, 32 next year. I should still keep playing, you know, but I'm telling you, my main focus is to coach because I actually love coaching. I really enjoy it, you know, and it's not only my experiences as a player that made me who I am as a coach. It's the times and hours I've taken away to research things, to learn things, to look at different styles of play. It's because I really want to do that, you know. As a player, of course, it'll help me in some way, shape or form. But to understand why Banksia won 2 grand finals in the last 4 years, if you want to say, since I've specifically been around there with Wasim, players like coaches like HD, Mudrik, Recently, Bucci, who we got from Cogra, and Haj Ahmed Haider, who helped us last year as well. You have to understand that the train room is a big thing. And this comes down to your character as a person, how you are as a person, how you talk to people, how you react to certain situations. What are you doing with the team to make them so successful over the last, to be able to win 2 grand finals? If you don't, as a coach, understand that part, you might think you're a great coach, but you're not a good coach. Because if football and coaching is more just about, I've been the best player of my whole life, I can take what I've played and put it on the field for these guys. It's not about that. Who are you as a person first? Are you a mentor? Are you willing to sacrifice time to talk to players that need help with anything? To take a player out and talk to him for a few minutes after training, how he's going to improve? Are you going to be that type of player? Are you going to be fair with the decisions that you make on the field? Sometimes decisions are tough, mate. Like sometimes you got to make decisions according to your gut feeling. You know, I personally believe that the grand final that we played last year, against Connor's point, is probably the height of the football that the level is going to be at this year coming, because that grand final is something that I couldn't fault any of my players about. It was all about hard work, teamwork, determination, all this kind of stuff. And you know what that came from? That came from the coaching staff believing in these guys. Yeah, our attitude as people believing in these guys, catching up with these guys every few weeks for dinner, organizing a dinner. You know, you go to a sponsor, have a dinner there. You're supporting the community, mate. This guy's sponsoring you. Let's go to his restaurant and support him. Let's go. Give him some money back that he paid for us. For what? Why does a sponsor want to be a sponsor for? Why? Let's be honest. This guy's losing money. Yeah? But if he's doing it for the community, why don't we go back and do something for this guy? You know, 100%. And go and give money back to him. You know, that's the mentality we've instilled in our team. And we're instilling in every other team in our youth. Everything. And my academy is based about that. My academy is based about character. Anyone swears in my academy, see you later. Go home.
It's the most important
Think about what you've done. We're not allowed.
You know, I watch a lot of things online. I might not be involved. I might not be on the field. Anything that's online, I've seen. Now, the week you're coaching leading up to Manly, the amount of respect I had for you during that week, because you guys have just come off one of the biggest wins. You've upset a big team. Yeah. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah. You did that because it's football. Yeah. Anything happens in football. Yeah. But how grounded you were and how realistic you were, you didn't let the occasion get to you. 99.9% of people let the occasion get to them. And then that entitlement comes in. We're better than these people. Now, I feel that you set the boys up, and it's because of your experience and the homework you do and everything else. Talk to us about that week and what was your persona to that dressing room, because you kept them grounded.
Look, obviously, preparation for Mounties before Manly was very high because I played against Mounties. So I knew their players, I knew the team. And I wanted to make sure we played a way where we could stop this team from getting the victory, which it worked. They're much fitter than us and everything like that. They're more experienced than us. We've just got to be annoying. And it worked. We got the penalty shootouts and we won. Leading up to Manly was very difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, we had just played 2 FA Cup games in a row. We played a weekend game, which St. George Football Association wouldn't change for us. Football New South Wales wouldn't change the Manly game to give us a chance just to recover because we are a club team. But although the boys had that in the back of their mind, the whole message was, let's make the community proud. We're the first team in the St. George Association to make it to the last 16. We've just created history, guys. You have made history right now. You're going to go play against a full-strength Manly United team on the biggest pitch in Australia. I don't know if you know, but the Manly pitch is the biggest pitch in Australia. Length and width-wise, huge. They play on it every other week. We're playing on a pitch like Adel Avenue every other week, which is different size, completely different size. So I just told them, just do your best. And that the whole time, obviously, like, I provide them with the tactics always before every game, tactics and feedback after the game, my players. Tactics and feedback, tactics and feedback. That's what we do. Before game, what the tactics we are going to do, the type of corners we're going to do, free kicks, all this stuff. After the game, feedback. Leading on to Manly, although I gave them a bit of that stuff, is more so about just the boys getting rid of their nerves, training, enjoying training, all that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. You're playing against the starting lineup. They even rested their 5 starting players in a game for the competition 3 days before, 4 days before, to make sure they start against us, just to show you. So I knew this. I got mates that played for Manly. They told me, my goalkeeper at St. George had just gone to Manly. Yeah, and he told me everything. He told me, Hus, we're starting with a full started team. Good luck, mate. That's exactly what he told me. I'm like, no problem. Am I going to tell you that I was disappointed with the result? Maybe a little bit. I thought 6-0, I wasn't too happy with 6-0. It could have been a bit less. But you have to understand, this is a great, great team. They've been in title contenders for a few years now. You're playing against the best players, So at the end of it, we take our hats off to them. Good luck to you. And we have made memories. That's it.
Graham Arnold was in attendance. I mean, what more do you want? The national coach was there.
Mate, so it's a blessing. I had people from my coaching course, which I did in Manly, messaging me good luck.
100%,
like people are just messaging you good luck. My St. George boys messaging me good luck. My coach told me, don't come training today. Go prepare your team for Manly.
That's legendary.
I had that support around me, and you know what? I give a lot of credit to the boys, because to get to the round of 16, we went through a lot of games, in season games, and pre-season games. Our pre-season wasn't the way I would have liked it to be regarding physical fitness, all that kind of stuff, because, mate, we started to break down, injury after injury after injury. I had boys from the 18s starting for first grade. I had all these young boys giving faith in these little young boys to come and play first grade because I had injuries. But no problem. That's the whole point of coaching. You get some young boys, you have faith in them, and you test them. Throw them into the deep end and see how they go. So that's something that came out of that Manly game. A lot of respect, obviously. Huge honor for the boys. I don't regret anything. I'm so happy and proud of the boys. Been proud of the boys ever since I started coaching there. And yeah, man, it's just, now I'm just trying to find ways to improve myself as a coach. How to better myself as a coach. Planning my academy for next year. Obviously, want to make it more classes and give people opportunities to do some one-on-one sessions and help them. Because I've had a lot of players that ask me, all right, I want to improve on this and I want to improve on this. Let's do it. No problem. Let's go. Let's work on it, man. So, Carlos, man, it's all for the community now, bro. I think it's my full-time job to give back to the community. I'm not saying I haven't done it in the last 6-7 years, but my focus is to do that from now on, inshallah.
No, God bless you, man. I wish you all the best. Honestly, the community needs more people like you. We really need to pull together in all facets of life. The division's got to go. The hate's got to go. The violence has got to go. We've got to be one.
Yeah.
Like the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, the Muslim Ummah is like one body. If a part of it hurts, it all hurts. We are one.
That's right.
Keep doing what you're doing. And it's honestly an honor.
Yeah,
I look forward to watching your coaching.
No, thank you, man.
For all the viewers watching, for anyone wanting to know what their child can get from your academy, what's the last message you'd like to leave with the viewers, and what you guys provide?
Look, as I said, my academy is based on the person that I am in my life. Hard work, dedication, good people. As I told you, anyone swears in an academy or training kids, they go and sit down. They skip it. We don't accept this. We want people to build character as well as your skills as a footballer. That's the aim of this academy. Character can get you somewhere further than what football can get you, and anything else in life can get you. Having respect from other people is more important than anything else in this world. Understanding that God is looking over you and seeing He's proud of this person who has become as a human being. It's something that we want to implement in our academy. So look, obviously we've helped MPL players, all the community players that we know. We help them to grow, to become better, to go get trials. We've always given kids opportunities to trial, and and we provide not just football, it's life as well. You know, we're not just about football. Someone wants to call us up and talk to us about something, we're there for them. You know, we want to become not just a football coach, we want to become a life coach for people. You know, we want to help people grow, you know, and see things in a bigger perspective and try to help out. Because, you know, man, like there's only so much football can do, but mental health rates in Australia are growing, you know, kids going through bad stages in their life. You know, if my academy and the people around us can help those people in need, that's what more can you ask for in life, you know? You know, so that's the aim, man. Obviously, really, football, life lessons, and obviously, definitely opportunities to grow, if they come with the academy, of course.
Hey, God bless you, mate. It's all about attitude. It's all about mindset. It's all about discipline. You had it all in your career. Congratulations. You're an absolute champion.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Charlotte, the people appreciate
Thanks,
your
brother.
story a
Thank
bit
you.
more, understand the struggles, the person behind the man. It's an absolute pleasure.
So,
Guys,